Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company. Coming up in 30 minutes, Carrie Sheffield of Independent Women's Voice will give us her analysis of the Virginia governor's race. Then at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. And at 8:35, Sean Carney, president of 40 Days for Life, a pro-life protester, got physically assaulted, brutally assaulted. It's caught on camera. And, of course, the perp got a slap on the wrist. We'll dive into that story a little bit later. Right now, it's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
And we saw the story develop over the last 5-6 days. It comes from Walter Curt. He's an independent journalist. His Substack is the WC Dispatch, and it involves two teenage girls in Fairfax County who apparently had their abortions facilitated by school personnel. It was kept secret from their parents. They were compelled to keep it secret from their parents. And school funds were used to pay for the procedures. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it, Mr. Curt?
That would be correct, Larry.
Unbelievable. And I got to tell you, when this story popped up, I'm like, well, what are the other sources? You were the source. You were the only source on this. It took several days for other media outlets to pick up on it. Nick Minnock of WJLA Channel 7 here asked Fairfax County Public Schools if they were investigating it. They said that they were. Some other news outlets are picking it up, but not many. Why do you think that is? It's a huge story.
Well, as far as I can tell, a lot of people have been trying to confirm everything that I put out, and a lot of people didn't actually go back and read the full article that I did, which actually had, all of the actual original sourcing in it. So, yeah. Once people actually go back and read it, then they start to realize what's really going on. So it's starting to gain traction.
Just so our listeners are clear, you had handwritten testimonial letters from the girls in question, right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. The one girl from the 17-year-old that actually did go through with the procedure, I do have a handwritten and signed letter from her.
Yeah.
So, Walter, probably because some media wasn't picking up on this, we have had some stories since then, but Fairfax didn't immediately respond to this. Isn't that correct? They waited a while, and then when they did, you have found that there's some evidence out there that shows they knew about this way before what they're admitting. Isn't that correct?
That is right. So I actually did this intentionally. I let them dig themselves into a hole. So this week, when I broke the story it was on Tuesday morning that I let the story drop, and it started to gain traction. A few people, Nick Minnock picked up on it, and Laura Ingram put it on her show on Thursday evening. And FCPS actually told her that they were opening an investigation and this was horrible. Well, that's what I was waiting for, actually. So I then immediately released the recording that they were doing this, that they already knew about this back in May at a minimum, and I think even further back than that.
So they're acting now like, oh, I can't believe this happened. This is shocking. We're going to look into it. But in fact, they've known about it for quite some time, and they were part of keeping it secret. Walter Curt is our guest, and I do want to promote his Substack so you can stay on top of this story and others that he's working on. It's called WC Dispatch. Walter, do you have any understanding of how the school district, or the school in this case, sort of funneled the funds for this and the money for this? I mean, how did they rationalize the expense for an abortion for a student?
Well, that's what I really would like to know, right? So I was told when I first got a hold of this story that there are FOIA documents showing that they have the transactions shown, but I never personally was able to see those. So that was the teachers that came to me with this story. They told me they had those documents, but I personally never seen them. So I don't know exactly how they paid for it. I assume it would have probably been some sort of, medical something. I don't know, but I'd love to see the actual documents, which I'd like to see an investigation open.
And it's one thing we have confirmed is this is not necessarily, setting aside the money for a moment, counseling a minor girl to terminate a pregnancy and kill an unborn baby without notifying the parents, in fact, participating in concealing it from the parents, that is not contrary to Fairfax County Public School policy. Is that what we've learned here?
Well, the interesting thing about their policy is it says they're supposed to make every effort to notify the parents, but it doesn't say that they must notify the parents, even though it's Virginia law.
Oh, did we lose Walter?
That was, I believe,
Walter, your phone's dropping, and we if you could, you might be like energetic, so you're pacing. But if you could get in one spot, that would be great. That happens sometimes on radio.
There we go. I might be able to hear you better now. It's probably my service.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Julie.
There we go. Go ahead.
Trying to understand, have you taught, now I think you either spoke to these girls or you have letters from these girls. Have you talked to these girls? I know these girls are probably older now because this happened, I think, a couple years ago. But have you talked to the parents?
No, so I did not talk to the parents. The person who brought this to me is the teacher themselves that the girls confided in. So that's where I initially got the story from. So I got the teacher that these girls went to this teacher specifically and confided in her. So that's where I got the original story from.
Okay.
And this is happening at a time where we've got an election in Virginia, Walter. And Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat nominee, has not said anything about it. And in fact, I think that she stands by the policy to keep this sort of thing secret from parents. She wants teachers to be able to keep these kind of sensitive issues secret from their parents.
That would be correct. It seems to me that Abigail Spanberger is on video, and I have her on video, refusing to say she supports parental consent. And it's part of that constitutional amendment that they want to push through. And this is what they don't want to tell you. They don't want you to know that the constitutional amendment will take your parents' rights away, so you can't even know if this happens to your daughter.
Well, and now we see school districts, school boards, I should say, Fairfax County along with Loudoun County, where they want to have their meetings in secret and not let the parents participate in the meetings as well. There's a whole lot of secrecy for these public institutions that involve our children.
This seems to be. Loudoun County in the last election, the last gubernatorial election, was a big deal because of how they treated parents and whatnot. And, now that I've started to dig into Fairfax, there's a lot more to this school district. It seems to me that they've had all kinds of problems, and a lot of it has gone underreported. So, hopefully we can get further into it.
Yeah. Walter, also, it's interesting. I don't think a lot of parents understand that these schools in the entire frankly, all over the country, it's not just Northern Virginia, the wellness centers that exist in some of these public schools are pretty they're pretty developed. These are some serious wellness, they call them wellness centers, and some of the things that they're allowed to give out to kids, I would encourage parents to go to your school district's website and look at some of the things that are allowed to be given to kids. Do you think parents are sort of like, do parents really understand what these wellness centers are like, what the healthcare services are like at these public schools?
No, they intentionally obfuscate this stuff, actually. So if you, there's a really good friend of mine, he runs a group called Courage is a Habit. It's a great parent advocacy group. And they have, they're fantastic guys. Alvin Louie is the guy that runs that. And he was actually on my show the first night that the story broke, so we could talk about that. And he's got a bunch of great resources to tell you what school-based, healthcare centers are, or the wellness centers, how to avoid them, make sure you don't, if there's one in your school, what to do about it. So I point people in that direction for that sort of information.
That's great.
One last question, Walter. Has there been any further investigation into the nature of these pregnancies? In other words, if you keep these things secret from a parent and you don't disclose information, this could be exploitation, this could be molestation, it could be sexual assault. Is there anything else involved here in terms of it could also be statutory rape if this is an older person? Do we know about any of those details?
No, see, this is the deal. This is why it's a problem to conceal this kind of stuff, because now it's been a few years since this stuff happened, right? So you don't have the ability to answer those questions immediately. Well, let alone the fact that, just the biggest problem I see with the whole story is that these are medical procedures being performed on your daughters without you knowing about it. What else are they doing if they can do that?
Right.
Amen to that. Although, as we often point out, you try to get an aspirin for a kid who has a headache, and, they won't touch them. They won't do anything without a parent's consent, without signing off forms, without all these other things. But But certainly, yeah, for ending a pregnancy, it's absolutely despicable. And Walter, we really appreciate your work. And I love the way you slow rolled the story and waited for Fairfax to announce what their statement. It's very Andrew Breitbart, James O'Keefe, circa 2010 here. Well done.
Thank you, Larry, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
You bet. We'll be back in touch. Let us know as the story develops.